Hey folks, it's Egwin here from Beyond Systems. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to share with you a small exercise that's designed to help you with your knee movement, that can help to warm up the knee joint and to move the knee through ranges of motion that you normally probably don't use. Now the question probably would be, why would I move my knee through ranges of motion that I'm hardly using? And the answer is, every part of your body that you're not using on a regular basis, same goes for every joint. If you do not use joints in their full ranges of motion, eventually they'll become stiff. Now, even if you aren't using specific joints in their full range of motion in your daily practice, whenever something comes up, either you're doing some training, you're doing some sports, or maybe in winter you are on a slippery surface, you suddenly need to adjust because one of your feet is just slipping away or something like that. Whenever that happens, you definitely want this additional benefit of having more active mobility in your joints, because then your muscles will also know those postures. They will know what to do if the joint is suddenly in a position that it's normally not in. Overall, this exercise is also quite nice because it's a full body exercise, although it's focusing on the knee. I'm gonna show you how it looks like right away. So I'm again in a bow stance. Hands come down to the front knee, and that's the exercise. So what's happening here? Obviously I'm in a long bow stance. Yes, for those of you who have a more trained eye, yes, this Qigong exercise, or this exercise, again comes out of the Qigong department. As mentioned a couple of times already, I love Qigong exercises because they really are extremely rich in biomechanically efficient movement that can be used and helpful for literally every person. And no matter if they are full on in strength training, acrobatics training, in sports, or just simply want to move better and want to be healthy. In this specific case, we are once again using a bow stance. For those of you who are on my channel for longer, I've talked about this stance quite a lot in the past. However, let's just quickly run through it again. We have one foot, the right foot in my case right now, that's pointing to the front. We have a rear foot that's slightly shifted to the side, so I do have a width in my stance. I'm not standing with both legs in one line, with both heels on one line in regard to the front foot. My front foot's pointing to the camera, my left foot is slightly pushed out to the side, and the toes of my rear leg, they are turned out roughly at a 45-degree angle to allow for more range of motion in my hip and in my knee joint. From this position, I'm gonna choose a longer bow stance in this specific case. I'm gonna bring my upper body down so that I can reach my knee comfortably. Make sure not to round your upper body too much, but to really tilt in your hip joints, mainly. Now from here, we have a weight shift to the rear and to the front. When we do a weight shift in this regular bow stance, normally we want the knees to be perfectly aligned with our toes. Now we are doing something different. I'm going to show you this on the left side first, directly into the camera. When you take a look at my left knee, normally when I shift my weight, I want my left knee to be completely aligned with my left toes. Right now that's different. Right now I'm placing my hands around my knee, leaving the kneecap free and open. It's not really a grabbing, it's just a touching. And from here, I come to the front and I slightly rotate my knee in. I come to the rear, back to center, and I rotate out to the side. So I'm doing gentle knee circles here. My hands are literally just there for the knee to know that nothing bad's gonna happen. The hands are literally there for the structure to understand that this is a limited movement. This is a movement where my hands are there to safeguard the range of motion. So I do not want a circle that's as big as humanly possible and my knee to constantly feel as if it's breaking. Start out with really small circles that feel comfortable. By doing so, you will work the arches of your feet, both the longitudinal and transversal. You'll also work with your ankle, you'll work with your knee, and you'll work with the rest of your body. We're going to talk about this in a second. Rotate in internal circles, so with my left leg in clockwise circles first, and then counterclockwise. Now notice, right now I'm doing rather small circular movements. Also my front back motion is quite limited, quite small. Always start out small with an exercise that you know nothing about, especially one like this, where we talk about rotation in a joint, which has as a main function a flexion and extension mode. Rotation is possible in the knee, it's just a rare thing to use so much of it on a regular day basis. Now, eventually when you progress in this movement, when your knees are a little bit warmer, then you can really make much larger circles. And this is the point where the rest of your body gets involved a lot more. So meaning, my left foot is in the front, right foot is back there. My left foot goes slightly out of alignment. When I say slightly out of alignment, I mean the alignment of the knee towards the toes, because that's part of the exercise. My rear body supports this movement as much as possible. So I am moving backwards. I have to fold my rear leg. I have turn in my hip joints. Everything from my pelvis towards the ground is involved in this movement. When we do this exercise, make sure that the rear knee doesn't lose too much of its structural integrity. So when I turn my left knee to the side and my right knee is completely collapsing to the inside, this shouldn't happen. Ideally, the rear hip opens up so that even if I push out, my rear leg gently extends but doesn't tilt completely to the inside. This would be an uncontrolled part in the movement, but we want it to be controlled as much as possible in order to really facilitate this understanding for the body. Oh, okay, this is how it looks like in a controlled environment. This is how it just feels like to move this joint in such a way. Eventually, you will have a very slight circular motion in your rear knee as well. But it is a much, much smaller one, and it has to do a lot with your hip joint, because your rear hip joint obviously facilitates part of the circular motion in the front knee. So the main emphasis is on using translatory movement and hip rotation in such a way that you support those knee circles in front. We use the hands to safeguard the knee, and as mentioned before, the main idea here is really to focus on the movement of the front knee without compromising the structure of the rest of the body, obviously. After you've done a couple of circles in clockwise motion and a couple of circles in counterclockwise motion, what you can do is use your thumbs, place them behind the knee, into the crease of the knee, and just gently pull a little bit to the front, as if you were trying to push the lower leg a little bit to the front. But that's really a very gentle motion, just to give the idea into the knee joint of opening in flexion as the main functional aspect of the knee for regular day things like walking, things like that. And after that, just come up, move your legs very gently, and then switch sides. This is really an interesting exercise. It's more complex, it's more, maybe even more difficult, because it requires a lot of control in the rear of the legs. If you have questions, leave them in the comment box down below. I guess some of you will really have a lot of fun with this movement. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, have a wonderful time. If you liked the video, click like, share and subscribe, and see you somewhere around on the channel or in my real life retreats or workshops. Have a wonderful time, and thank you.